Taste of Country Nights. We're in here with Dylan Scott. What's happening, man?
Man, another day in paradise. How you doing?
We're doing awesome now that you're up in here, man. You bring that vibe in here, man. We feel
Good vibes,
smooth, man.
Nothing but those Chris Jansen good vibes.
Now let's talk about August 16th, the big day when the EP comes out, where there's a lot of Keith Whitley. It's a whole cover album, EP per se.
Yep.
Now we were reading that you went into the same exact studio that Keith did a lot of the songs on, and were able to use some of the same
Studio musicians. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was cool, man. So we went to Sound Emporium, and I was excited to go in there and do that, but when you walked in that morning, when I walked in, I was with the same place, same musicians. It was very haunting. It was very, just very cool, something I wasn't prepared for. And then we started digging a little deeper into, they used to do log books, every day, whoever was going to be in the studio, who they were with, what they were doing. So I started going through the log books, and we cut this back in April. The same exact week we were in there, Keith was in there doing some of the songs that we were redoing.
What?
And this was literally 3 or 4 weeks before he died. He died on May the 9th. And so it was not planned, and it brought chills to me, but it was cool, man.
The pressure of recording those songs in that same space with
God.
those musicians, I can't even wrap my head around it.
And it was there. The pressure was there.
I would have been let's grab lunch, and I would have not came back.
I mean, here I am, sang these songs my whole life, and I get to this moment, I'm freaking out a little bit because it was the same musician, same place, and then it's just Keith. I didn't record this tribute album to try to do anything but just continue his legacy and hopefully live up to half of what he did, as far as the music goes.
Yeah, well, you're introducing a new audience to some older songs that maybe they've never heard, or maybe they've never heard of Keith Whitley before.
And that was kind of the goal. The goal was to do that. And I play Keith every night in my live show. I do When You Say Nothing at All. And what's cool about it is, guys and girls that are 60, 70 years old or 16, 17 years old are still singing that song, and they're screaming it, which is really cool to me.
Is that your favorite Keith Whitley song, or what's your favorite?
It's not my favorite. I love it. It's not my favorite, though, but I do it because most everybody knows that song. My favorite is Between No Memory and Me.
I gotcha.
Man, that song got me a record deal. I did a demo when I was 16 of that song, and they pitched it and got me my record deal at 18, 19.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of cool. It's all full circle here, It's to be such a fan of his at a young age, and then got my record deal, and now here we are after a few hits, going and doing this album. It's cool.
Now, did you have to ask his wife's permission, or how do you go about starting this process?
I didn't ask anybody's permission, no. I just thought, let's just do this. Let's get rolling. And as we got rolling, I thought, okay, if they don't like this, it would be better to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of deal. But luckily, man, his son Jesse and Lorrie Morgan, they were all just besides themselves. They're like, absolutely, full support, do it. And I got them on the record too. I've got Lorrie singing "Tell Lorrie I Love Her" with me, and I've got Jesse singing on it as well. And it was a lot of fun to do.
Tell me about the studio, being in the studio with them that day and recording that. Did you all do it in the same space, I assume?
Yeah, so we went over and did that. I was singing with Lorrie on the same mic, and that was to be literally as close as we are, singing on one mic. Lorrie Morgan was just crazy, but just her stories, Her and I, we did "Tell Lorrie I Love Her." I don't know if you've heard the song or not, but it's a very raw recording. You can tell it's just him and a guitar on just an old recorder. It wasn't even in the studio. And when you hear that, you think to yourself, well, that's probably the last song he ever did. That was and it was total opposite. She told the story that he wrote that song, and he came home that day. His daughter's running around the living room watching cartoons. She's in the kitchen cooking supper, and he sits down in the kitchen at a stool, presses record with his big toe on the recorder, and starts playing this song. And that's what you hear on the album.
Oh, wow.
They just had to go in and cut some of the cartoon noise out.
Oh, wow.
And some of that. But that's exactly what you're hearing is him in his kitchen playing that song. He was just playing it for his wife.
Wow.
Tell Lorrie I love her. Oh, man, it was
That's
awesome.
amazing.
And the fact that you got to re-record it with his wife.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Nuts.
He was your biggest inspiration, right, Keith Whitley?
He was, man. He was my Elvis. Everybody talks about Elvis. He was my Elvis, man. He was the guy. That's what I learned guitar to. People always say, hey, sit down and sing me a Waylon Jennings song or a Merle Haggard song. And I can do one, but I can do Whitley all night long because that's what I played over and over and
That's
over.
awesome.
Again. So,
what's the first song you're going to play for your daughter?
oh man,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gearing up.
I ain't even thought about that, man.
Gearing up, baby.
No headphones on bellies yet?
No, not yet, not yet. But I mean, shoot, she'll be here in like 7 weeks.
Yeah, I just
Close, man.
I just had our first child, and it was a daughter. So if you need any advice,
Yes.
it's very interesting.
I know.
You know.
I got a boy. He's a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. So I was like, all right, cool, I got this. We're good. And then she hit me with I'm pregnant with a girl kind of deal. I'm like, oh.
So wait, how did she tell you that she was pregnant the second time?
You know what? It happened so quick. So my son wasn't even a year old yet. And she comes to me after telling me she don't want any more kids. She came to me and said, let's have another kid. I was like, he's not even a year old yet. You want another one? And so I thought, okay, we'll start this process. And by the time you actually get pregnant, maybe he'll be like 2 years old. No, immediately, man. Fertile Myrtle over there, So immediately she's pregnant. So, I mean, I don't know how she told me. She probably just walked in and was like, hey, guess what? I'm already pregnant. But
and everything was like blacked out from there.
It's
It was a
crazy.
blur.
And you found out right away that it was a girl from her, or you had to wait till the actual reveal?
No,
as well?
we had to wait for the reveal.
Wow.
We wanted to wait, yeah.
'Cause I remember when I first saw on the paper that it was going to be a girl, like, I don't know, but my wife said that I turned like ghost white and like I was battling all these emotions. Like I was happy, but then I was like scared. And then I was like, I don't even have a gun. Like, what do I do when she gets older? Like,
Oh man, yeah. We wanted a little girl though. I got my boy 1st. It's great. I want a little girl, and then whatever. I don't know if we'll have any more or not, but whatever happens now happens. Like I don't care what it is.
I'm mad you didn't bring my little buddy in. I didn't get to tote him around this time.
I
Last time you were in,
He's
you brought him
gotten so
in.
big. So this past weekend, I had him out on the road with me, and he ran into a computer desk,
oh no.
Dude.
and it got worse from there. And so I'm like, he cut his forehead. Let me get some paper towels. So I'm going to get paper towels. And then Blair, when I turn around, my wife has him in front of me. His whole face is covered in
Oh
blood.
my God.
Had to go to the emergency room. We were there for 4 hours.
Where were you guys?
We were in Champaign, Illinois.
Okay.
Or
Did you have to
Urbana.
get stitches?
Got 5 stitches.
Oh my God.
And let me tell you something. He was numb. He didn't feel it. But I had to hold down his feet and his legs. Blair had to hold down his body, and the nurse was holding down his head. Like he couldn't move. I mean, it tore me up. I'll be honest with you.
bet.
Because he didn't know what was going on. He just knew we were pinning him down, and somebody was sticking something in his forehead. And it was, man, I about lost it.
We talked the other day about how Evan and his wife cry when his little girl gets shots.
Yes.
So I can't imagine that experience.
That times 10.
Really?
Because I'm the same way. Like when he gets shots, I'm just like, I hate that. 'Cause
I know, I
He
hate
don't
it.
know what's going on.
Right, right.
It was bad, man.
That's crazy. And your wife is your high school sweetheart?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Shoot, man. I have no idea, right?
I mean, you're a good-looking dude, but you punted out of your range, man.
Well, that I did. But back when let's see, she came to my school in 7th grade. We never spoke a word to each other, 7th or 8th grade. And then high school, we went to separate high schools. And then sophomore year, man, I don't know. Took her to a Chinese restaurant, all-you-can-eat buffet, and here
Dude,
we are.
that's the spot. That's genius, Amber. You got to get, when you go on a date, you got to tell them to take you to the Chinese buffet.
Apparently that works.
Well, when you're 15, it does. That's all you can afford, Chinese buffet. But
Have you guys picked out a name for the little baby?
we are still debating on some things.
Can you give us a top 3 list?
I'll just tell you what I wanted. This is what I want it to be, and I think she wants it to be this too, so I'll just go ahead and put it out there. Finley Gray.
Ooh,
Ooh,
I like that.
Finley Gray. So,
Any reason why?
Nope.
Okay.
nope, we both like Finley. And I was like, what about Finley Gray as a middle name? Gray.
I love
Well,
that.
and it's different. There's not going to be 20 of them in her classroom.
Right. So we got Beckett and Finley.
That's awesome. Yeah, my wife kind of, when we had our daughter, my wife was like, well, we're going to name her Libby because that's what I envisioned her name being as when I was growing up. I was like, okay, man, I mean, whatever. I don't really have a say. I guess.
Libby's great.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
Good
it
for you.
is.
You got a lot of stuff going on, man. How many tracks are going to be on the CP?
I think you don't get me lying right now. I think there's 6 on there.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because I had like a list of 12 I wanted to put on there, and obviously that would have been a full album. We had to narrow narrow it down.
Oh,
I wasn't too happy about it because I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
But there's 5 or 6.
Well, that means you're going to have to do like a part 2.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So
that's cool, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming by Taste of Country Nights, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Absolutely. Anytime.
Okay. Well, all right. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, dude.